Welcome to the Queer Movie Podcast, celebrating the best
and worst
in LGBTQ plus cinema, one glorious genre at a time.
I'm Rowan Ellis.
And I'm Jazza John.
Each episode, we discuss a movie from a different genre of cinema.
And this episode's genre is queer surfing.
I'm surfing. I know how to surf. This is what they do when they surf.
Yeah, you put your hands out. And you just
gotta
kind of
put your hands out. Ugh, you gotta.
I really do think that this movie cemented my relationship with surfing, which has dropped off over the last few years, but...
When you say your relationship with surfing, I like to believe that you've never surfed and your relationship with surfing is just that you find surfers hot and you're like, this movie really solidified my relationship with surfing in that I find surfers hot, and that's the relationship that has been solidified.
That's definitely one of the major reasons. Why would you do anything if not be around people that you find attractive, obviously?
Of course. Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about a movie that unlocked many a queer's brain chemistry. From 2007, it's the surfer boy love story, Shelter.
Not enough people talk about, even though I think a lot of us, it's in our brain chemistry. But before we cook steaks and make some strong margaritas, Jazza, what's the gayest thing that you've done since the last episode?
I'm going to describe this with one word, and I will not be taking any follow-up questions. Hemorrhoids. So what's the gayest thing that you've done since the last epised?
Jazza, it's a video podcast now. You've got to show hold.
Oh,
That's how...
Hold on. Hold on.
Wow.
Yeah, we really need to take the advantage of this enhanced medium that we have, but I have a feeling that YouTube isn't going to allow that.
Probably
and
not.
I don't think anybody would want to either. But I did say no follow-up questions.
Oh, yeah.
What's the gayest thing you've done since the last episode?
I was in Berlin for 3 weeks on a creative residency, and I did loads of open
course
mics.
you were.
Loads of gay open mics, which makes sense. I didn't go to any of the like cool gay clubs and sex parties though, so that's for next time, I guess.
That's a shame. Not even just to watch.
Not even just to watch, no. At one point someone was like, the sauna's open quite late, but they were like, oh, but I can't go, I didn't bring my towel. And in my head for 1 second, my brain went, that's so crazy that they bought their swimming costume and not their towel, and the towel's the issue. Surely the towel's the easy thing to like get hold, like maybe they rent them or something. And then I was like, they're naked in the sauna, Rowan. They're naked in the sauna. They don't need a swimming costume. That's not what
was it one of those kinds of saunas, or was it like a genuine sauna and people were just naked? Because the two do exist.
I think it was a genuine sauna where sex was not was not obligatory.
Encouraged.
I think everyone was just naked. But yeah, so that I didn't partake, but next time I go, I think that's on the cards.
So the gayest thing you did was not go to a sauna.
The gayest thing I did was go to an open mic instead of a sauna.
I think it's at least on brand.
It's gay in its own way.
So for those of you who are new to these parts, as always, we're going to start with giving a little bit of background of the movie. And by background of the movie, we mean why we as I think we're the middle millennials, right?
Yeah, you might be elder, but I'm middle. Yeah,
there's no need to be rude. And how we came across this movie back in the day, before there was even like a postage system. Stuff was really hard.
Yeah, people. It was just teenagers were having to run through the streets of London. And to try and deliver posts. There was no postal system. We
were running around with a bell saying, hear ye, a gay movie just dropped.
And we had a man come every night and snuff our candles on the street so we couldn't see. We are going to be spoiling this movie from beginning to end. So if you care about that, then we recommend going and watching the movie itself before coming back and hearing our commentary. I would say this is one of the ones, if you just want a good, sweet time, with very low angst. Just an easy watch.
It's the perfect easy watch because it's also the perfect length for a movie.
It's
90 minutes.
90 minutes. It's also the perfect because there's so many options. The perfect movie in this genre of fictional queer surfing movies. I don't think there's another one. We
think it's the only one.
It might be the only one. We've done no research on that, but it feels like it.
Yeah, if you're queer and vaguely interested in water sports, not like that, then you should probably watch this.
Why not?
Not explicit. Maybe there's some implicit. We're gonna ruin this movie. So finally, we're gonna, at the end of the episode, once we've gone through, we're gonna be giving the episode our patent pending rainbow flag score. But yeah, before we dive in, this is your bit of the script.
So here's the thing: is Jazza writes these intro bits of the scripts, and Jazza in this section has decided that I have to say a slur, which feels like that bit in SNL where the guys at the news desk make jokes for each other. So without further ado, keep our fridge stocked with a load of low carb food, and watch Shelter. Okay, so how did you first watch this movie? Because this is not either of our first times watching.
I went through a phase of going to Borders and looking through their LGBT movie section.
We had Borders?
Was it Borders? Or it was like a bookshop that now doesn't exist in the UK anymore.
Oh, was it Ottoka's?
Yes.
Fucking throwback to Ottoka's.
Yeah.
The real ones remember. Fuck you, Waterstones. Yeah, literally. Happened to her.
And I was flipping through and found this, and it was back when you could get like a movie, like a DVD for like under £5, something like that. And so I used to buy a stack of them and then just like watch through them as like physical media. And this is one of them. And I've been surfing since I was like a small kid, and wasn't at the time as confident about their sexuality as I currently am. And so this was kind of a display of a type of queer love that I'd really never seen before, that was beyond kind of like, it was beyond kind of campy, like over the top queer media, which is what I had been exposed to a lot before, which I now love, but at the time I kind of like pushed against. And so this kind of like presented me with a story, characters, and a setting that I was like, oh, that's something that I want.
Yeah.
And I'm like a very different person now. Like, I don't think I have those same kind of like, I used to have very closed off views around queer media.
But now you've got a moustache.
Especially when I was younger. But now I have a moustache.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have hemorrhoids.
That says a lot.
It says a lot. How about you?
I saw this movie with a bunch of my friends because I was like one of the kids who was in the least popular group in school, the real losers who all were gay. That was kind of the vibe. We were all either gay at the time or were like, some of them were like, I'm an ally. I support my friends, but I'm definitely not queer. Fucking liars.
Yeah, weren't you also an ally?
Yeah, I was an ally, but at this point I definitely was out. Because I want to say I was like 15, 16, something like that. We went to my friend's house. Right. I found this site called Peccadillo Pictures.
Legends. Friends of the pod?
Friends of the pod, and they still are fucking legends. We need to get them on. I think we need to get some people from Peccadillo on. They are basically, at the time and kind of still now, they were the distributor in the UK who distributed a kind of like movies that wouldn't get mainstream distribution. And most of those movies, because of the nature of the mainstream distribution at the time, were queer movies. And so I looked through and I was like, I'm going to say to my friends, let's have like a queer movie day, like marathon. We've never really been able to before.
Maybe a queer movie club.
Maybe a queer movie club or something. And we had 4 movies and they were, this is an insane lineup. Shelter, Were the World Mine,
wow.
Yeah. The crazy like Midsummer Night's Dream high school musical one. Dream Boy, I want to say, that as far as I remember was just fucking depressing. And then the most depressing, horrific movie that is also extremely good, but I've never rewatched it, so maybe it doesn't stand up, but it was so traumatizing but well done, which was a French movie called A Love to Hide that's set during the Holocaust. So it was a really intense lineup. Where I think I thought I had one stressful one, which was was A Love to Hide, and then the rest of them I assumed were going to be like a bit like Shelter. Like I thought the Were the World Mine was going to be kind of like campy and fun. Not really the vibe. I thought Dream Boy was going to be like sweet not really the vibe. So Shelter, I feel like also came at a good time for me personally, in the minutiae level of time, in that it was during a day in which I had watched 3 insane or depressing movies, and I think Shelter was the one we ended on, and I was like, thank God, because this would have taken us all out. We would have been like, we're going to just walk into the ocean now, forget about surfing, we're just going straight into the waves, Poseidon can have us. And I was like enamored with this movie at the time because of all the things I'm sure we're going to discuss like during this episode, because it was just so like tender and sweet, and had some like, also had like angst and B plots and kind of social commentary that was actually nothing to do with queerness, that was to do with like class or to do with family relationships or to do with like being an artist and dreams and friendships and like all this other stuff, even within the 90 minutes. And I think
family,
before it had been exactly
finding surfers hot,
very important, like working at a diner, all the important stuff. So yeah, for me, this is a movie, and I was really worried about doing this episode because I have not watched Shelter for a while now, because I think we did it on a queer movie club, but I can't remember. I think I couldn't do it for some reason. I was really annoyed that you were doing Shelter that day. So I because there was a part of me that was like, do I want to rewatch this? Because what if it's bad? Like, what if I think it's actually a horrible movie? Spoiler alert, I didn't. It was fucking great. But I'm so happy.
Interestingly, I also thought that I was going to rewatch it and think it was bad. Because I remember it being, and it is, like, actually a very simple movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not trying to do too much at all, but it feels like, I think the reason that it spoke to me is that it feels like, even though there is conflict, it feels like a very optimistic, hopeful, warm bath.
Yeah, 100%.
That doesn't even, it feels very realistic.
Yeah.
Like, there is homophobia here. There is like financial and familial struggle and stuff like that. But it feels like we're just following actual people around rather than this being a movie. And was just so adorable. Like I finished watching this and still have like really warm feelings about it. So it definitely stands up.
Yeah, I think this is something kind of like a pattern I think is going to go through my review of this movie, is something that I think I've realized is the thing that makes movies stand out. I am someone who engages a lot with the romance genre. I listen to, essentially every single night, I listen to a romance audiobook. Typically it's like a queer historical romance, because it's just the level of like interesting enough to keep me engaged, but not so interesting that I can't like slowly fall asleep to it. And every night I'll basically set a timer for 15 minutes. It will play 15 minutes. And by that time I've kind of like edged into the before sleep time where I kind of don't register. I've like dozed off. And so I get through a month, like an audiobook a month in this like 15-minute increment method. And I've become quite like versed in the idea of like the romance genre, of which this definitely is one. And the kind of tropes that they employ and things like that. And I feel like I have a really strong sense now of like what makes a good romance story. And I think one of the things that really is lacking, I think, with modern rom-coms and romances in movies that a lot of people do comment on, is a lack of specificity. I think that the best way to create a really good romance story, movie, book, is to make the circumstances, but also the romance and the interactions between the characters extremely specific to those characters. To have little moments or imagery or references that you couldn't like project onto any other characters. And there's a lot of stuff in this movie that really does that for me, in terms of these really specific moments of like, even just the set, the kind of set piece of our main character, who often hangs out outside of his sister's work to look after his nephew, and they are just at a bench together, and their version of what in a more sort of like middle of the road story would be, oh, we should have him colouring with his nephew to show that they're like, because he's an artist, and it would be at the kitchen table and they'd be colouring. Instead, they've really weaved it into the story where he teaches his like young 5-year-old nephew how to draw by doing graffiti on a park bench outside of his sister's work, because that's the type of art he does. It's like a thing that he did when he was a kid, and you can see his old drawings from when he was waiting for his mum to get out of work. Like those really small, like throwaway, not really made a big deal out of it moments have such specificity of character to them that's one of those things that like, and it happens a lot during this movie, and I'll probably point it out, but it's something I wanted to flag now as we go through, because I think it's something so special that you wouldn't necessarily have like thought consciously about before actually like, ruminating on this movie, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. Are you ready to dive into the plot?
I'm ready to dive in. It's a surfing movie, you guys.
And ride the wave of the narrative. Okay, that wasn't as good.
Okay, what did you call Act 1?
My Act 1 was called What If Jack Johnson's Early Discography Were a Movie?
Okay, I called it Holy 2000s Batman.
Very. So for me, I think that the reason I've called it that is because the vibe of this movie feels very like of that time. I think Jack Johnson was like getting big around this time as well, and the music in this film is so SoCal surfer chill, and the cinematography also just kind of like exudes classic movies that used to document surfing, like Endless Summer and all of those kind of things. Lots of low sun in the sky, sunbeams, kind of like light flares and all of that kind of stuff. And it just really feels like you're being bathed in it.
Oh, Jazza, I need you to know, the first note I made about this movie was this chill acoustic music is the vibe of this whole movie. I agree 1000% with you. And it really is one of those films where like you have a really prolonged, like the very first thing that happened is we have a very, very sort of prolonged kind of title sequence, like one of those old school title sequences where we get like everyone's names coming up and it's just over music. And it's essentially this aggressively early 2000s kind of scene montage of skateboarding and using a disposable camera and doing graffiti and like all that kind of classic shit where we're kind of introduced to our main character's sort of San Francisco life, Cali life that he's going through.
San Francisco life. Excuse me. This is San Pedro, which is to the south of LA. This is SoCal. This
I'm so sorry. His Sam whatever.
It is a very different. It is a very different culture, but it's okay. And shout out to a lot of the soundtrack was an original score by a musician called Shane Mack, which is loads of like this acoustic guitar kind of like romantic lyrics that just blend really well with the whole aesthetic of this movie. It's gorgeous.
So basically the story begins with our main character Zach. He's just a little guy, and we're very, very quickly and very efficiently introduced to his life in that we know that he has a dad who's kind of sick. He had some kind of accident and he needs to remember to take his pills, but he's, you know, really kind of needs someone looking after him. He has a nephew called Cody who is an adorable little 5-year-old boy who's extremely sweet. At this point, I just wrote the note, love a kid fic, which is, for anyone, the girls who get it. If anyone's on AO3, it's a fan fiction term. Kid fic is a fan fiction term for fan fictions in which there is like a child involved within the narrative. So often it's often very much like the From the Mouth of Babes like type of story, which we have a few moments of in this movie, where a kid will say something that's quite incisive accidentally, or something, kind of make a comment that lets the lead character kind of understand something deeper about themselves. And oftentimes it's like an adoption, or it's something like this where it's a family member, young child that they're having to like help raise. It's my favorite thing in the world, so that also was like a big plus for me. We also find out that Zach like works a bunch of different kinds of jobs. Like he works as a fry cook in a diner, and he sort of seems to have to babysit like this nephew constantly, but he doesn't this isn't a thing that he really cares about. He's not wanting to go out and party all night, and he's like annoyed that he has to look after his nephew. He clearly loves his nephew so much, but this poor boy is very overworked, is essentially how we begin this movie.
Well, we're introduced very early to his father as well, who kind of like is in one scene and then disappears. We don't really see the
he
dad,
doesn't live
ever again.
It kind of is like dropped into dialogue that he doesn't live with his dad, so his dad is like living on his own. He's living with the sister, who's living like elsewhere. But it's very much like a thing of like, he's just kind of been left to look after everyone. Very, kind of not at all what he should be doing.
His mum died, right? Or at least like isn't there anymore. And it feels like Zach is the only one who still has like that desire to work and keep the family together. So he's there, kind of like looking after his dad a little bit, making sure that he takes his pills, taking over from his sister who shouldn't be a mother.
Nope.
And it's made very clear at multiple points in the movie that she shouldn't be a mother. Thank you for being very explicit about that film. And he's there just kind of trying to... He's put all of his dreams on the side, and his dreams revolve around being able to make his art. He's applied to Caltech?
CalArts.
California Arts. CalArts.
Wow.
Before and got rejected. And so why dream anymore? Basically is like the setup of this film.
Yeah, he's like in his early 20s. We know he's old enough to drink legally in like a bar, but it's not said specifically. But we know like his friends have all like gone off to college, and they're kind of like finishing up college at this point. So I'm assuming because it's like a 4-year thing in the US, I assume that they're kind of like 22-ish. And the kind of like catalyst of the movie, this like inciting incident, is that his best friend comes back to visit from whatever like uni he's in. And at this point, like, there's just so many moments in this movie because it's such a simple movie, but they are so economic with their dialogue and their like exposition doesn't feel like exposition. So his friend says like, "Oh, hey, Cody," to the little nephew, and then says like, "Baby on board," while like being in the car with the kid, and then like completely just proceeds
being in the
to
car,
like
smoking a joint with the kid in the car.
With the kid just like blowing out the window and being like, "Hey, this guy." So it's clearly like, again, that shows like his friend knows Cody. Like Cody has clearly been a fixture in Zach's life for like a long time, and Zach has been looking after Cody consistently. This isn't kind of a new thing. We also find out kind of from this, his friend lives like a very rich private school life, like he always has, and there is definitely like
nice house.
Yeah, there's definitely like a kind of tension there in terms of class and like money and financials, and the idea of like this friend who kind of drops in and doesn't really know much about the realities of Zach's life, and is just sort of like constantly being like, "Come surfing, dude, like come on," like as if you can drop anything, and just like, "Yeah, you should just like go to uni," as if, especially in America, it's extremely unaffordable. That kind of like out of touchness to it. And I think that is a really interesting like parallel to the feelings of like alienation that as a queer character we're going to end up like seeing within Zach, where he already has this kind of alienation from his friends who've all moved out of town, apart from his kind of on and off again best friend girlfriend that we'll meet later on. But he has dreams. We immediately know art institute's where he wants to go, but ultimately like he's just not in that place because he kind of had to drop it to be the boy who's just taking on too much and needs a break. Love him.
Blessing. So we go surfing with Gabe. They say it's breaking hard. Wait, there's so many surfing cliches in this film.
I kind
really
of just anything where they mentioned a surfing phrase or a surfing name, I was just nodding like I do whenever there's a movie that's like set in a casino and they do gambling, and I'm like, yes, of course. I will judge by the reactions of everyone who is watching this poker game happen whether that was a good result for our main character, because I don't know. So I'm like, I'm assuming this is good waves. The waves are good right now.
Waves are good, breaking hard. And something that I think is we do hear quite a lot of like really casual homophobia in this film. And something that I think is important context is and this is like documented very well in some documentaries like Out in the Lineup, which is a really great surfing documentary about kind of like queer surfers. But surfing especially is a very masculine bro culture that is very has often and traditionally been, and I think often still is, very standoffish towards non-traditional male kind of like friendships and male relationships, and a lot of bravado and masculinity, toxic masculinity being thrown around. And so it is very interesting and important to remember that this is the universe that Zach has grown up in. And it feels like this romance that he ends up having with another man is the first time that he's really seen it as a possibility. And that is likely from the culture that he has been growing up in Southern California.
So this is also something that's interesting to me, is we don't meet the love interest Sean. Even like now, there's a few things that happen before we actually meet him, and that I also kind of like in that we have a real sense of who this character is before we get into the relationship. And I think it works because they have a pre-existing friendship. But this before we actually meet Sean, who's the love interest, we have the iconic scene on, as I mentioned, like one of the scenes where they're graffitiing outside the mum's work on the workbench, and Cody says, "You're my dad," to Zach. And Zach's like, "No, I'm your uncle, Cody."
Whoa.
No, Cody, like, as if it's like, oh, he just is confused. "I'm your uncle." And then as
kids
like,
say the wildest things.
Yeah, kids say the wildest things. Kids say the darndest things. But also, like, in a way, I really appreciated like, you can't really get a performance out of a 5-year-old, but I like the way that they'd worked in the script where the kid is just like, "No, you're my dad, you're my dad, you're my dad," which is such a little kid thing to say when they want to really hammer home like a thing that they want to get across to you, but they don't have the verbal ability to be like, "No, uncle, I feel very passionate, kind of emotionally about you as my father figure." So he's like, "No, la la la, you're my dad, you're my dad, you're my dad." And later on in the film, it's really annoying because I couldn't quite tell what the dialogue was because I couldn't get my closed captions to work. But it was Cody greets his mum, but I'm pretty sure calls her by her first name instead of mum as well, which I think is like kind of very telling, but it's very much like a bit of ADR, like almost in the background, you could miss it. We also get a scene before you meet Sean where he calls his on and off again girlfriend / friend on a 2000s flip phone, which I found very exciting for the 2000s of it all.
I just felt the same way as when Adele flipped out a flip phone in Hello. Like, I was just like, oh, remember those halcyon days. Like, all I want is a flip phone with WhatsApp and Instagram on it. That's all I want. But let's talk a little bit about, what's the mum's name? Jeannie, his sister?
Yes, Jeannie.
So she shouldn't be a mother. She should have... I'm going to be so harsh. She should have given this kid away because she has no concept of the kind of responsibility that she should have had around this kid. She's going out drinking. She always knows that she can lean on Zach to pick up the slack, and there is a lot of slack. When Zach meets Sean, the love interest, his best friend's Gabe's big brother, even Sean says, like, "I cannot imagine Jean as a mother." And Jean has been a mother for 5 years. This kid has been alive for 5 years. And some of the decisions that she ends up making are just kind of like wild. And I don't know. I think she doesn't have any redeeming qualities. And I think that it would have... Well, go on. Do you think she has any?
No, she doesn't. But I do think the film knows this, in that because they give her this like one moment where, like, I wrote down in my notes later on, I was like, Jeannie's movie is a completely different genre and movie, but there is like, you could have had her movie, because she says something that implies that Cody's dad's died, and she's like, and that he was like, she's kind of been almost like running through boyfriends since then. Sure. She's like was a really young mum and a really young couple. Her mum dies, her like the father of her son dies, her dad has a work accident, gets sick, and she is just not ready to dip, which is not like an excuse or anything, but I did think it was kind of interesting that they gave her this like little moment that I also think explains partly why Sean kind of like puts up with her being so shit for so long, is that he's not only is it his sister, but I think he does understand the idea of like, she's also had a really fucked up time.
She's also had it hard.
But it's almost like he kind of was like ready to excuse that right at the start, and now it's been 5 years and it's like, this kind of doesn't, I can't really shake this off, because she comes back from a party with her new boyfriend, and they're both really drunk and they're kind of making out in the kitchen, and Sean comes out because he shares a room with Cody, because he's like moved back in with the sister, and basically is like, you gotta like shut the fuck up, basically, because he's asleep. And she says like, oh my god, shit, Dad's mad at us. Like, it was such a contrast in terms of her, like his maturity. Yeah, and her sort of like inability to deal, and her own trauma kind of getting in the way of her being able to raise her son properly. Yeah,
absolutely. We are introduced to Zach's ex, who's called Tori.
Yeah.
They call each other Monkey, which is a bad nickname, I think.
But also for both of them to have it is very funny to me.
One of the funniest scenes that we have in this movie is when the monkeys are talking with one another, and then in the background there's a surfer guy with two girls, and the girls are they're counting the number of abs that the guy has.
Oh my god, I love that. It's so ridiculous.
And I know exactly what they're saying. Like, he's saying like, yeah, I do like 500 crunches in the morning, 500 leg raises in the evening, and just like, it just works for me, you know. I eat clean. Love that.
We also have the like at this point the introduction of Sean, the love interest, who I really enjoyed.
Who looks much older.
Yes, and I feel like that was the one thing that, having not really registered, like coming back to this movie, I was really worried it was going to be like, this is some like 18-year-old, 17-year-old high school child and a adult man, and I was like, oh no, I think maybe when I discovered, and then it like canonically they're like he's fully like 22 and the other guy's like in his late 20s, and I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, but he does look like
he looks a lot older 20s. Though he does.
Not to be rude.
Not to be rude, but he looks really old and haggard. But no,
hey, salt dries out your skin.
That's
like,
so
it's not
true.
his fault.
That's so real. But I really like the banter. They have like this. The first like line that happens is that Sean, who's, as we said, Gabe's older brother, kind of goes like, thought your ass was done breaking and entering by now, and the turning around, like kind of excited to see him. Zach goes, well, and change the code, bitch. Like, if you don't want me just fucking coming into your house, you got to change the keys, like change the locks, bitch. Like, and then he says,
yeah, turn this into victim blaming. Totally fine.
Yeah, like Sean is has like moved out of town. He's come back, and he's like saying it as if it's like really deep. He's like, I miss the ocean, man. And Zach's like, dude, you live in LA.
Yeah, you literally.
City boy
and
now.
Can I just say, San Pedro is like 30 minutes from central LA.
So
like, they
funny.
aren't far.
It's so funny. Well, I really love that, because I'm like, you can introduce a character like that later on when you have either like a second chance romance or one of these tropes where it's people who already know each other, this kind of friends to lovers situation. And I thought they did it really well, and that immediately you kind of know their relationship, which is, this was like the cool older brother. This was someone who, up until this point, maybe there was like a little bit of a didn't even know what it was, but like thought he was so cool and like wanted to be around him. And, you know, Zach at the time didn't realize it was any kind of queerness, but like as we're discovering now, like as he's gotten older and they're reconnecting, like, oh, maybe there was something kind of going on with his like excitement. But it's really sweet, and they're basically like bonding. It's like the old times, and it's also really key, I think, that he remembers Cody, because Cody would have been like really little at the time, and he remembers to ask after him, after the sister. Like, this is someone who has like left and decided to pursue his dreams, but also is not completely divorced from this like past. And I feel like that's also a really good model, which is going to come back around for the idea that Zach can also go and pursue his dreams without kind of losing himself on where he came from. Like that's being modeled by someone, which also feels like kind of important, as well as that modeling of like open queerness. Because as we find out, Sean is out. Like everyone knows that Sean is gay.
People throw around the F slur like all
constantly
over this movie. They love it. Well, it was the mid 2000s.
This is so true.
Cool back then. But like actually was. And despite that, Zach persists in hanging out with this faggot. So he. They go surfing together. They're like, they throw out some more surfing things. So like, the swell is coming in, and I was like, the swell of love. The swell of love. And they're going surfing. They're hanging out by the beach with a fire. They're drinking some beers. They're getting some dinner. And these Californians are always have a beer in their hand or always high. Like there's no sober state. And they're hanging out at Sean's place one day, one late evening. And of course, the inevitable happens and there's some tickle wrestling.
Oh, it's such a classic.
What does tickle wrestling always turn into, Rowan?
Making out. But I will say, so normally it's fight, but kind of play, but also getting aggressive, and it kind of gets more aggressive, and then it ends with this like angry makeout session. This was a play fight. They're giggling. It only stops when one of them accidentally elbows the other one in the Adam's apple, and then they do soft kisses, and then it fades to black. So I was like, it's very much the cute romance version of that trope.
It's like a little bit of a chest caress, and it's like, oh, it's gonna happen. And then Sean leans in, a tender kiss. They say nothing. They fall asleep.
Fade to black.
And then Zach wakes up the next morning and runs away and then ghosts him for God knows how long.
So I do want to say that there's just like a couple of things happen before that I think are important, because it in the like there are so many montages in this movie, and I actually don't care. I love it. I've been on record about how much I don't like montages in very specific circumstances. This is a circumstance that I will allow it because it does add to the vibes. But they're like reconnection sort of starts in a way of like sharing the hobby of surfing, but they also find the walkie-talkies that Gabe and Zach
used to
so
like cute.
Which is another like specificity of that would only happen within this story of like this lo-fi tech, this best friend's brother sort of situation, living nearby to each other, that he like gets the walkie-talkie and is like hello, and they end up talking to each other. And they also have this another little moment that I thought was really sweet, where Sean says like, oh, I saw some of your tags today. And I'm like, this is pre-social media. So this isn't like he's seen it on the gram and he recognized it from there. He like knows this guy. He's remembers it from when he was a kid. He's asked people about it. Like it's cute. It's really, really cute. It's also really clear at this point that Sean has moved to LA to pursue writing. And he's struggling. He's like trying to figure out Hollywood shit, and he's trying to figure it out. And there's like a scene where he is in a robe with a pipe, like he's like basically writing something about a sort of James Bond-esque character who's like in a suit and he's gonna kick ass. And he like answers the door in his robe with his little pipe. And I think that there's something in like being so utterly unembarrassed by being found like that I think really sets him apart from these other sort of like masculine posing men that we see often within the surf scene in this movie. Where he just like, yeah, sure, I'm just wearing a pipe and a robe. Cool, I'll get changed, we'll go surfing. Which I really like. There's a lot of very sweet interactions. And then the other way around, Zach has read Sean's book. So he published a book like a few years ago, and he's trying to work on a sequel, and that's what's really kind of getting in his own way. And it's sort of, oh, you read it? I'm really surprised. Like, when did you read it? And Zach's like, oh, when it came out. So it's just this very like, there's classic like romantic thing of there's a tether between them. Like they both are pursuing these different kinds of art. Like they care about each other's work that I really liked.
Can we just have a moment? Can we just go back to this, please? Because the equivalent of this is now, like you were saying, oh, I saw what you posted on Instagram. And there's so little effort in finding that out from somebody
So
that you're
true.
romantically interested in. You just stalk their stories nowadays. Whereas back
People
in the
used
day,
to
you had
stalk
to
each
buy their
other.
novel. Yeah, it used to
had
be
to.
really difficult to find out more about the people that you were romantically interested in. So basically, I'm saying bring back stalking, bring back analog artifacts that you leave behind for those who may want to romance you. And also, while you're at it, bring back flip phones. Like,
is
that's
true.
all I really want. Let's just destroy all the servers. and
This
go
is
back to
so
this.
real. So yeah, at this point we get the play fight. It's very sweet. Sean also sees Zach's sketchbook, and it's this moment of like in big emotional intimacy before the kiss. Great feedback. I kind of feel like my act 2 begins here. I don't know if that's where you've got it.
Yes.
What did you call your act 2?
Hanging out with a man half naked.
Oh, I think this is called Gabe is Back, was my act 2. Spoiler alert, Gabe is coming
got
back.
it.
So yeah.
So mine comes from this confrontation that Jeannie has with Zach, where she's like, so you're hanging out with the gay now. Just to be clear, I don't want Cody hanging out with the gay, because otherwise the gay will pollute the mind of the baby. And so we're confirmed that not only is she an awful mother, she's also a bigot.
Yes, this is true.
But now, since you've said it, I am interested in what her version of this movie is.
But I also think, though, that this is such an important part of the context of the time when there were like real genuine debates around the idea of like queer people being able to raise children. A lot of the demonization of queer people and the moral panics around us was to do with this idea of sort of corrupting the youth, and very much like the Save Our Children legacy was still there. In the UK, the Section 28 legacy was still there. It very much was like pre any real progress across the entire states in terms of queer marriage. Like very much this was dropped into a time at which it kind of feels like it, for me at least, very much mirrored the trans kind of moral panic which is happening now, where we see a lot of similar stuff where trans people ask for not even like anything more than just equality in some way, in a very small way, but that visibility, that like public visibility, brings in people who have no idea what they're talking about and have never had any issues previously, and whips people up into this frenzy.
It reminds me very much of the current stuff around not only trans people but also like children at drag shows.
Yes.
Which is such a specific genre of drag show.
Yes.
Like they're
So
like
true.
it is a tiny minority of drag shows are specifically performed for children. And guys, it's like clowns. It's like basically the same as clowns. Like you just dress up somebody in like a load of glitter and a big wig, and read to them in a dynamic way so that they're engaged. They're not doing like all of the splits and stuff, and it's not drag brunch. We're not giving mimosas to the children.
The Venn diagram of people who complain about children at drag shows and gammons who would throw an absolute fit if somebody they thought that a theatre had been banned from using the word Christmas to describe a panto in which there are drag queens, is a circle. It's the cognitive dissonance. Anyway, so that's, I feel like an input. We didn't really kind of do the historical context of this movie at the beginning, but I do think that's like a really important thing to note, is like how casually homophobic basically every space was at the time. And so this is not a kind of unusual opinion to have.
And for Gen Z, this is why millennials are so broken, because this was what it was like.
So real. So real. Yeah. So at this point we have like Zach is very much kind of ignoring. Slowly you can see through him talking to his sister about, oh, maybe I'll apply to Cal Arts, that something is shifting. But he really is struggling with the idea that he might be queer. But we see these like little bits of like softening come out. So he's at the beach with Tori, kind of hanging out as friends with Cody, and along comes Sean. And Sean ends up looking after Cody and builds like a sandcastle with him and is like really, really good. And he like
great with kids. The opposite of the bigoted sister.
That's so true. And he says essentially like, can I talk to you? And I think it's really interesting. He doesn't necessarily want to talk about what happened the other night in the kiss. All he wants to talk about is like, you're very talented and I think you should do something with it. Like I want to talk about, because
apply for art school.
The other thing that happened that night is he saw the sketchbook, and I feel like it's that kind of, again, like supportive partner energy that we're bringing in, that isn't just based on like a romance novel or book or movie, which is only based on like, believe me, they've got lots of sexual tension. It's like, actually there's a kind of compatibility in their worldviews, which I really enjoyed. But then they very quickly, we're back to making out, which I do enjoy.
We're back to making out. Like the classic, I can't control myself. I'm pacing back and forth. Oh my God, I need to go and see you. Go up to the door, open the door, immediately start making out. This scene is, it clearly depicts probably the first good blowjob that Zach has ever had in his life. And then end
he's
up
so
with kind
happy
of like,
afterwards.
It's a blossoming.
He's in his car, like smiling, kicking his feet, and he's also doing art on the walls. He's doing these big murals.
He started doing good art again because he's in love.
Colourful, and it's so cute. And this is the point. No, it's not the point. It's not the point where Gabe comes in. There's other cute shit that happens before. God, there's so much cute shit.
There's the steak and the steaks and margaritas. Come over to steaks and margaritas. I'm babysitting. Bring Cody then. Sean asks Cody when he's there. He asks the 5-year-old, so what do you want? And Cody's like, I want mac and cheese. I want hot dogs. I want pancakes, and I want no vegetables. And Sean is like, sure. Amazing. I'm just going to pop out and get some of those, get those things, because I don't have any of this in the house.
It's so cute.
Father material,
it's
guardian
so
material. It's so
I also
wonderful.
love that Cody is so unused to rich people's houses that in the background you just hear him go, "Oh, he's still in California," which I think is so cute. Oh my God! But yeah, it's very like lots of like hugs and support and care and love and sweet goodbye kiss and giving Sean gives Zach a Cal Arts application as well that he's clearly like printed off, which at the time, again, that manual,
that's how you did it,
that's how you had to do it, you guys. And then we get a falling in love montage where they share their hobbies and they spend time with Cody, and it's tender and cute, and the graffiti art tree is blossoming and expanding like his heart, and it's really
it's being
cute.
filled with colour.
Oh my God. And then as they're lying in bed together basking in the afterglow, and Sean is like, you should come and live in LA with me. It's right next to Cal Arts. We should make this happen. Gabe comes back with the incredible line, "You got a guy in there, you slut?" ?
Yeah, where's my princess big brother? I love this.
I love Gabe
interaction
so much. It's so good. It's such a like punk ass little brother being an ally by being as much of a dick to his older brother who's gay as he would be to his older brother who's straight. It's like, hey, I'm not going to teach you any differently. I'm going to rib on you as a younger brother the same I would as any straight brother. And I fucking love Gabe in this movie. So good.
Zach is hiding in the bathroom. Gabe comes in. Sean hugs Gabe and like turns him around so that Zach can escape. And then at the end, like, I think it is the best line in the movie. I adore it so much. This is why I made you say it at the top. It's like, man, I'm starving. Do you have anything other than that low carb fag food?
He does. He's got chocolate pancakes. He made them for a little child.
I've never felt so seen.
It's so good.
It's so wonderful.
Also, again, so aggressively 2000s, it's the fucking Billabong shorts that Gabe arrives in. I like had completely forgotten about that. That's so funny.
I had these. I used to go to the Billabong store. Remember when there were Billabong and Quicksilver stores at the shopping centre? As if there's any surfing in Essex.
Whoa, what a throwback. That's stunning.
And Roxy was the Quicksilver logo, and it turned into a heart, and it was the girls' one.
Oh my God,
for girls.
It kind of looked like a tramp stamp. It was cute as fuck.
It did. And amazing.
So this is like the second act of the movie, like complications are happening. And a secondary complication that happens is that Zach's sister finds out that he's been hanging out with Sean, and says a bunch of homophobic stuff about, like, you know, Cody needs a positive man in his life. He's not going to understand this. Are you trying to fuck up our family? And it very much is like that. Oh my God. And then she says, during this argument, Zach is like, I'm the only one who doesn't run off on you. And the sister says, you're just a summer fuck. You're like his piece of ass. He's going to go back to LA. Like, you don't understand.
You've reduced yourself to a piece of ass. And I was like, oh.
I'm like,
the reads.
This is so this is something that I really, again, enjoy about this argument, which is it is so specific to those characters in that it's the way that I think arguments often happen, especially between people who are family or know each other really well when they get to that stage, is that they know each other. And so they know what is going to hurt the most. They understand what is like, and they aren't saying exactly what they mean, which comes up later in that, like, what she's worried about is that he's going to leave, but she isn't saying, like, you're going to go off with this guy and leave me. She's saying almost like the opposite, like, this won't even last, like, you won't even get to go anywhere, like, you'll have to say, because he probably doesn't probably mean anything. And then she's also like projecting her own feelings of these boyfriends that she cycles through, like all of this stuff. I really enjoyed that as an argument that could have just been a very straightforward kind of like finding out. I very much liked it. It's at this point that I get to the brief party and its aftermath.
Wait, which party?
Literally just they go to the beach and have a party, and Zach is sort of dissociating as Gabe is miming fucking a chick. And then Sean comes to speak to him in the car.
Sure, I will allow that.
The party is approximately a 20-second scene, but I was like, you know what, I have to get a party and its aftermath in here. It needs to happen.
It's enough. Like, they have a beer in their hand every, like, other scene. So any of these could be a party, to be completely honest.
This scene is also, so they talk... Zach and Sean talk in the car, and it's exactly the same as what I just said about the other argument with the sister, which is that, again, it's this kind of like great angst where they say things to each other in character, because if it's like their individual fears and how much they actually do know each other and can hurt each other specifically, when he says, like, Sean says to Zach, like, you're a coward, and Zach says to Sean, like, don't get all emotional on me now, like, digging it, because he isn't homophobic as a person. Like, he's very much never homophobic until it came to this fight. And it's not because some like in secret homophobia for Sean has come out. It's because he thinks it's a way of hurting him and like being part of that fight, which is what happens when people are in those kind of fights where they say shit they don't mean and all of that. And I just, yes, I enjoyed the angst in this movie as much as I enjoyed the cuteness, because it felt, again, like nice and specific.
Is it at this point that Gabe finds out as well?
Gabe finds out next morning after, and he doesn't
I
care
needed more
at
of
all.
Gabe.
I love Gabe so much.
More of Gabe. He was like, have you always known? I'll be honest, it's a little weird that it ended up being my big brother. But he says it's a little weird that this ended up being my big brother. And then he starts asking about how good the blowjobs are.
Yeah, I heard they give better
And I'm
head.
like,
You guys give better head. So ridiculous. And it's so good because Zach is like all like, I'm sorry, man, I didn't tell you. And Gabe's like, why are you fucking sorry? Tell me, like, come on, man, like tell me all about it, like, bro. And it's
give me all the details, man, of my brother sucking your like, it's, come on, boys, come on. So Zach's like trying to scramble together. It's the deadline. He's trying to get together his application for Cal Arts. He can't find his portfolio. Oh, bugger. His sister comes in and obviously is really supportive and encourages him to get it in before the deadline.
No, she is.
Psych. She comes in and says, why are you even dreaming about that? That's just like a load of rich kids who are just going to work in art studios anyway. They've already rejected you once. Why would you put yourself through that again?
So rude.
Like, don't leave me, basically. The irony of what she ends up doing. Jeannie... but then we find out he gets a call. Back when apparently you got called for getting accepted into college. Cool.
Why not?
He's got an in. They were surprised his application came back. But he's in. Yay. Woo. Celebrations. He goes to tell Jeannie. Jeannie has been taking sleeping pills. And then she tells Zach that she's moving to Portland and they don't allow kids in Portland. Anywhere in Portland. So you're going to have to look after Cody now.
You have to look after Cody.
Sorry, bro.
Just before this, there's also another classic montage, but the montage is him being sad and he can't surf good now and his mural gets painted over and no one can sleep and they keep remembering each other, but it's very sad. But it's okay because Cal Arts, he's going to go to the admissions office, he's going to get in, and then he talks to his ex-girlfriend. Love the ex-girlfriends in these kind of movies. Monkey's back. Being like, I've got in. And she's like, why are you being so grumpy? Cheer up, celebrate, bitch. Like, I know we're like breaking up and stuff, but like, we're still friends and you've got into Cal Arts. Like, this should be nice. And also I kind of knew,
by the way, I know you're gay.
By the way, I totally know you're gay. And then he says, you're the only reason I wish I wasn't. Which I think is like...
I don't believe that. I don't believe that, girl. Who do you think you're kidding? Like, you weren't interested in her. You had already broken up with her. Don't string this woman along. Don't give her like a little bit of, you're the only reason. I do not believe that at all. If anything, Gabe is the reason. But
his like, the only reason I wish I wasn't is because of that. But I do think there's this element of like, afterwards he basically explains it's because he sort of thought that he was going to be everything. It's this idea of like, he's trapped in this town and she's also kind of trapped in this town, and that together they could have, like, they were already friends. Like, it felt like a version of life that he could do and still be like straight. And it was kind of the only thing is this idea of like, I've got to hurt her, whatever. She doesn't care. She's like, just tell me if we're actually broken up so I can go and like get another man and like live my life and have fun and whatever. So I'm like, she'll be fine. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Now I get to the very last like little bit that it's not like a full section, but I just called it Go Get Your Man because it's the classic Go Get Your Man bit of the romance story, my favourite.
Can I pause for a second just on kind of like this Zach being able to escape thing? Because I think that in itself is like a very queer narrative where, especially if you're, I don't think San Pedro really counts as kind of like it is basically part of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But this idea that you aren't served, it's intersections with class and intersections with queerness as well, because often a smaller town, especially in kind of like even smaller places in the United States, just do not have any support or backing or culture or community for queer kids. And so their only option is to leave.
Yeah.
So they get themselves the fuck out of Dodge, and is a ticket out of perhaps that class trap that they feel like they're in, that very often I think their straight counterparts don't see that option. Because once you are queer, you kind of like understand that everything's a bit of a joke. Like everything's like, you don't have to do the route that is planned out for you. And it's almost like this relationship with Sean and this embracing of his love for another man has even allowed him to imagine a life that is outside of this, of these shackles that he's been in for his whole life. And he felt like he wasn't able to escape. But actually, this man being encouraged by him, finding somebody who could also be a carer for his nephew, is his ticket out of there, and his ticket to be able to create his own path beyond what was laid out in front of him.
Yeah, it's like a method of escape, both like emotionally and literally, in that not only is he saying like, hey, come and live with me, but he's, as we find out, the reason why the application got sent in. He's the one, Sean is the one who sent Zach's application in. So he's literally being, I mean, Zach ultimately is a person who did the art well enough to actually get in, but it's that support role that Sean has decided to play that means that he's given these opportunities. And just from the way their characters are, we know that there would be no like bad blood if he had gotten in and decided to go and never wanted to speak to Sean again. It's just this idea of like, separate from our relationship, I think you're very talented and I think it's a waste that you don't have at least the option of this. Because he also doesn't know until this moment in the movie when they reconcile that Zach had already gotten in and gotten scholarships before. This is something that Zach has never told anyone, but he's like, it was at the exact moment that like everything was falling apart with my family. I couldn't walk out. I couldn't go. I turned down the scholarships. So what he thinks is, you know, this guy who just needs a bit of like a, hey, so you just need to like, you know, you're so good and you don't believe in yourself enough, like apply. And he kind of realizes for real, like, oh, there was a reason why this didn't happen, and it was kind of all of these messy things that are going on that I'm also going to have to deal with if I want to be in this relationship. He was good enough the whole time. Because this is the classic reconciliation. We bring back the walkie-talkies that Zach brings the walkie-talkie.
Great callback.
Apologizes to Sean, is like, I'm so sorry. Sean is like, why are you here? What's changed? Zach says I did, and he did, and we've seen him change throughout it, and it's perfect and they're beautiful. But here's the question: what's going to happen with Cody? Surely that's still an issue we've got to deal with. Great question. That's such a good question. We go back to the house.
Tell them what happens, Rowan.
We go back to the house. Zach is leading Sean over to his sister by the hat, holding his hand. He's not ashamed anymore.
Hand in hand.
Not ashamed anymore. And it's like, you're literally packing up to move away to Portland with your boyfriend. Were you not even going to, like, do you not care? Like, you're not going to stay for your son? The boyfriend then says, Cody, shut the fuck up. That fucking boyfriend, Zach is having none of it. It's like immediately, it's like, don't you ever fucking talk to him like that. They're like holding, it's like, hold him back. Otherwise he's going to go absolutely feral.
Hold me back.
And I was like, you tell him, baby. And we have this moment with the sister where it's like, okay, sister, like, this is great. You have a sad backstory that we've gone into, whatever. But like, you need to just leave the son with these gay uncles who are gonna be much better. Just, you can go with your boyfriend, move to Portland, be in Oregon, whatever. Who cares? Let's just have a gay little family. And they do.
And they do. We cut forward. Everyone's hair is a little longer, so we know that this was shot at the very beginning of filming. And then they cut everybody's hair because their hair is a little bit longer. And they're just frolicking on the beach. The two gays and their little child. And
a dog. Adorable. They have a dog now. It's like a really cute montage.
Of course they have a dog.
And they kiss in public and it's no problem. And they teach Cody how to surf.
Homophobia is solved.
And then metaphorically, I choose to believe that the graffiti tree is now blooming and bright and beautiful and colourful and rainbow coloured. Wow. It's beautiful. Gorgeous. And that was the movie. So
if you're new here, we give each of our films that we review a rating out of 6 tied to the 6-barred rainbow pride flag. Those 6 bars and their colours correspond to a concept, a meaning, a deeper meaning perhaps. So for what we use, red signifies life, orange signifies healing, yellow signifies sunlight, green signifies nature, blue signifies harmony, and purple, spirit. So we give up to 6 bars and we say which colours we would give this movie. Rowan, what score would you give Shelter? Okay, well, purely because of my own emotional connection to it. It's not like some kind of great work of literature, like Oscar-winning film, whatever, but just because of my own personal feelings, and this is our own system, I was giving it fucking 6 stripes, baby. This is the sweetest little film, and it's got so many things I love in it. It's getting all 6. How about you? Fuck it. I'm also going to give it 6.
Yeah,
and it is because it's not because it's like well, no, it is a beautiful movie. The soundtrack is fantastic. Yes. Actually, I think these performances are understated.
Yes,
but
in a
really
very realistic
good.
way. Absolutely.
And all of the stuff that you said around kind of like the specificity around each of our characters and the ways that they interact and the histories they have with one another. And it's one of my gay coming of age movies. Like, it's one of the first kind of like full feature movies that I saw that was of this ilk. That wasn't, to be honest, Wong Kar-wai. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be everybody's 6, but I think we can let it be our 6.
Wow, that's so
wow.
That's so real. I love that. And also, do you know what's so depressing is that I looked up the director and writer and the leads, and they've not done anything since.
They've not really done anything else.
I was like really looking to be like, maybe I missed it and there was some like a second, but no, there's not really anything going on afterwards. So it was just
I found the kid who played
time.
Cody called Jackson Worth, and he has an Instagram with 700 followers.
Iconic. We should DM him and be like, you're great in that one movie.
Absolutely. He's got a private. Yeah, when you were 5 years old, you were fantastic in that movie. I've requested a follow. I've not had a confirmation back yet. So Jackson, shout out. Let me in. Slide into the DMs.
So funny.
So thank you very much, everybody, for watching or listening. If you're listening on Spotify, please go and check out the YouTube video of this, because we're really proud of what we're doing.
And we ended
up with like the Q&A episode that we did to launch the video episodes. did surprisingly well. Like we got over 150 subscribers and like nearly 2,000 views on that video, which is way more than we were expecting. You're on the Discord and really like putting it. And let us know what you thought. How many bars would you give?
You can do
Shelter?
comments on YouTube. Comments are a thing we can do now.
Comments
properly.
on YouTube.
Fuck yeah.
Yes,
Tell us
absolutely.
Your scores.
And it's so exciting. And I just want to have a shout out to Mystic Jason 05, who left on our Q&A episode. I would click on an episode of Shelter so fast. So Jason, if you could make sure that you let us know. This was really for you, but
click on this so fast,
favorite movies. Thank you so much, everybody. If you enjoyed these episodes, we can't do this, especially now with video editing. We can't do this without your support on Patreon, because God knows we can't monetize on YouTube. I just said fag about 5 times.
That's true.
But as a patron, you can join our Queer Movie Club, where we do watch-alongs on our Discord every single month.
And a special thank you once again to Jennifer and Margarita for supporting us on the highest tier of Patreon, the Rainbow Parent tier. Absolute legends. You, along with the rest of the supporters on Patreon, like quite literally allow this to continue happening. So thank you very much.
Awesome. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.